Hey everyone, in Black History Month, with me today is KJ Johnson, a former BSU track and field athlete. KJ, thank you for speaking with me today.
For sure.
What does Black History Month mean to you as an alumni of BSU athletics?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I kind of have like mixed feelings about it. Definitely proud to be Black for sure. Definitely proud to have been a Beaver. Go Beavers. But I love that we have a month. I love that we have this time to learn, right? And kind of take on history and maybe get to know characters in the Black community that you wouldn't necessarily know just through normal education, just through daily life, right? And exposure, because some people just unfortunately don't have enough exposure to people of color. So I'm definitely excited and proud in that sense of like having been an alumni, having been to a university where you can say there probably wasn't a ton of exposure, especially during my time. Very proud to have been a part of that. But the mixed part of it is I almost wish that there was more exposure and that we didn't necessarily limit it to a month, so to speak, that we kind of made an effort to maybe every month, maybe it's a weekend or a week to kind of educate, people of color as well, because a lot of people of color don't necessarily know their lineage or know their history, and myself included. So there's a lot more that I still don't know or don't dive into. But as a former alumni, to kind of answer your question, I'm really, really excited to have been a part of history too, right? Because I made history as well, and you're making history as well. So
awesome, great answer. I love the two perspectives there, kind of. In what ways have you celebrated Black History Month, or in what ways do you plan to celebrate Black History Month?
To be completely honest, in the past, I really hadn't celebrated it a whole lot other than, what was just kind of presented to me. But I have been making an effort to celebrate it more in the sense of just kind of diving into people that I don't necessarily know enough about, or even kind of looking at stories that we are taught and figuring out, like, is that the real story? So that's been kind of an exciting journey, because I've learned, quite a bit in the sense of like, wow, that story has really kind of been retold over the years, and there's details and things that are kind of lost along the way. It actually started for me with Juneteenth, learning about Juneteenth and just kind of figuring out, how so much stuff in the Black community actually kind of resonated from that event. So that was really cool. So I've been more active as I've kind of gotten older, but I'll be honest, I wasn't super concerned about it in the past.
Awesome, cool. That's a good way to celebrate it either way. Education is definitely key to Black History Month, so That's a good way to celebrate. Is there an influential leader in Black history or current whom you admire and why?
I'd probably say Harriet Tubman. I think everybody kind of knows Harriet Tubman and know the story, but man, she's a beast. She, aside from just saving so many people, just going to learn about her life after she was done with kind of the Underground Railroad piece of things. She did a lot just for people in general. I didn't even know this, but she actually kind of created like an old folks home for like the Black community. So people, 50 plus and older. And I thought that was really cool because my grandma technically lives in like a 55 and up community. And I'm like, to think that she could potentially be in an all Black 55 and up community was really cool. And then she went on to actually live there. And that's kind of where she passed after she got sick. So I was like, wow. So yeah, I'd say Harriet Tubman.
Awesome. Yeah, for one of our Black Student Union events that's happening tonight, I did like my presentation on Harriet Tubman, so I'm going to be talking about her later tonight.
Yes, love it.
South African cleric and human rights activist Desmond Tutu once said, "My humanity is bound up in yours, for we can only be human together." What does this quote mean to you, and how does it relate to BSU athletics or to BSU athletics when you were participating on the track team here?
Yeah, that was a very profound statement. When I read that, I was like, whoa. The first thing that came to mind for me was I thought of like humanity. I thought of just, the world. I thought of the fact that, we say it kind of every day, like the world is small. People are connected in ways that we don't necessarily think that they're connected. And, to kind of take it a step further and think about just Black history in general, it is heavily intertwined with many cultures. I mean, you look at just people of color throughout, not even the United States, but just throughout the world, and we're everywhere. We're like in almost every textbook and almost every story, and we have some piece and we played some sort of role. So that's kind of where I went to first. And then I kind of thought about, that next question of being, a former athlete or just being a part of the, the Bemidji community. We're all connected, right? It's a bunch of people that came from a bunch of different places. There's a big international calling to BSU, and to know that at some point all of our history could have touched each other in some way. And the fact that we all chose to go to this particular school or be a part of this particular, athletic adventure, that's kind of where I went. I kind of pieced it all together. I went big and came small. I was like, that is really profound and really cool.
Awesome. That's a great answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Those are the 4 questions I had. Do you have any other pondering thoughts or words of encouragement that you'd like to give to anyone listening?
Words of encouragement just for anyone in general, just keep learning. That's really the biggest thing. Don't ever stop. We don't want to necessarily repeat history in the wrong ways, especially as of late. So educate yourselves. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I don't know that, especially as a person of color. I'll be the first one to tell you that there's so much more stuff that I need to know and need to do. But start small and don't overwhelm yourself. You got your whole life ahead of you to be a good person. So just start one day at a time.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for speaking with me today. I really appreciate your perspective on all these questions.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
All right.